All right, so let's finally talk about What If season 3, right? So this is not going to be like a full run through of every single episode, but we will kind of share quick thoughts on each episode, right? But I just have like a full opinion of this season here and the show as a whole, right? So yeah. So yes, this is, of course, the third and final season to what is technically the Twilight Zone of the MCU, which is What If, right? 'Cause, yeah, when you really think about it, this is a Twilight Zone series, right? And it's so funny, right? Because you have Jeffrey Wright, a black man, black actor, playing the Watcher, right? So he is
Correct.
the Rod Serling of this series, right? But
Correct.
if you remember a while back, we boy Jordan Peele had his Twilight Zone revival, right? Which I
Which
you know,
was
I was liking it.
which
It's
was
just kind
mediocre.
of that's the problem. I
Yeah.
like it and I get what it's going for, but it just couldn't match the greatness that was the original series, right? Which
Well, yeah. I mean,
yes,
they even like reference it was even as good as I think the one with God, what's his name?
of Forest Whitaker, yeah, the
The first
90s
one,
one.
yeah. Even it was. I think it was even as good as that. Like that's the thing with it. Like I get what he was going for, but it didn't work, in my humble opinion. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But yeah, it was still fine. Whatever.
Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. It was fine, right? I guess people may look back at them like, we were a little too hard on you. I guess it's because we just want to associate Jordan Peele with movies and not with TV or something. I don't know, right?
Right.
Anywho,
And to be fair, to me, Get Out was already like a Twilight Zone thing. Like so, he was
well,
tapping into
well,
that anyway.
you see that and Us. You see those two?
Right. Yeah.
Those were pure Twilight Zone episodes.
Exactly.
Nope, not
Yeah.
really.
Kind
That
of.
that that was
Right.
more
That
like
was different.
summer blockbuster vibe. That's what he was leaning towards with that. That was like Steven Spielberg Jaws, right? With
Yeah.
aliens. That's he was tapping into Spielberg energy with Nope. But you see those first two films,
Yeah.
that's some Twilight Zone shit, right? But anyway, so back to What If, right? So yeah, again, we in this case, we get 8 episodes, and because it's Disney Plus, they put them out throughout the Christmas holidays. So it started from December 22nd and ended on December 29th, right? So I wasn't watching it during that period, right? I think you did, right? But I watched it when the new year started, and I did not watch it like day by day. I just probably watch like 1, 2 episodes like a day, and then I'll just kind of get back to it the next day and whatnot, right? So my thoughts aren't fresh on each of these episodes. That's why I say I don't want to stay long in each one, right? But as far as all right, so you'll just kind of just run through the episodes quickly, and then
Yeah.
I'll just give like a general view of the season and the show as a whole, right? So the first episode, right? What if the Hulk fought the Mech Avengers? That was
Right.
that was really decent. That was a great way to kick things off. That was
I
really like them leaning on the whole
right.
Voltron mecha
Well,
anime
it's
subgenre. That's really what
right.
it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically it's Marvel, but also Pacific Rim.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
didn't I didn't
Even
personally
even
love
even
this too
right
much, but
down.
it's still good.
Yeah. Even right down to the final battle taking place over an ocean, right? With the oh gosh, what do you call them by not so much the Mega Hulk, but the oh gosh,
Oh, I forget what you call
well,
it.
right. So the villain is the Apex, right? But is his
Yeah, the Apex, correct.
minions? I forgot the name of the minions, right?
Right,
But
right.
yeah, they are offshoot of Bruce Banner's like gamma radiation, right? So consider them to be like monstrous versions of the Hulk that we know and love, right? But yeah, that's really the energy they was leaning towards, right? It was leaning towards that Godzilla kaiju energy. Even right down to how Bruce defeats them with the bomb itself. It's like it's giving off Godzilla vibes, but that's the point of it, right? But that's kind of like the Voltron moment. Like just the moment with the Mech Avengers literally forming like Voltron, like like doing that. I was like, all right, okay, this is some Pacific Rim Voltron, Power
Yeah,
Rangers kind of shit. I like that. I like that, right? Um, but yeah, it was an interesting concept, and this. But story wise, it didn't really grip me as much as much as I expected to be. But
yeah,
that one just felt like it was just. And this is one thing that I really noticed in this particular season, right? They will try particular genres. They will experiment with particular genres or whatnot, right? And they just throw in some Marvel characters, and we see what happens. So in this case, it is the kaiju mecha genres that they play with, and well, for the most part, it works. For the most part, it works. But yeah, any thoughts on this first episode here?
yeah. Fun, funny enough. But again, I was kind of underwhelmed with it. It's like it's alright, it's fine. Yeah, but I wish we had more with it. To be honest.
Right, right, right. Second one, Agatha went to Hollywood.
Right.
That all right. So
Silly,
this
silly,
one,
but this is actually silly fun to me. This
yeah,
actually was
it was silly fun. It was silly fun. I do like how they play on the sensationalism of early Hollywood. Like I was getting like Damien Chazelle Babylon vibes, where it's like, okay,
right.
it's Hollywood, but it's like, okay, we need to go big and we need to be crazy with it too. So that's what they're
Yeah.
going with, right? Having Agatha and Kingo, right, from the Eternals film, right? Have them be the main characters was cool.
Yeah. And what they do with it is with Howard Stark was great too. Like Howard
Yes,
Stark.
yes, yes. I
Yeah,
like, I
that's fun.
like, I like how Howard Stark. Well,
Yeah, he
he's like
fits in
this
well. Yeah.
director, this filmmaker who trying to make like this big epic movie and all that kind of stuff. That was cool. I
Yeah.
actually do like the inclusion of Jarvis. Well, Edwin Jarvis. That was a nice
Right, right,
touch
right.
as
Yeah,
well.
human drop is
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah, but that was cool as well. There was an unexpected dance number as well, so
Yeah.
that caught me by surprise. Like it was a mix of like early Hollywood, that sort of oh gosh, well that early musical kind of style, but it also mixed with Bollywood as well. If I
Right.
just have one little nitpick is that like the Kingo moment, the dance sequence didn't really feel like old school Bollywood movies, right? But then again, I'm not a Bollywood expert, right? But it
Right.
felt like they pulled that from something out of like a 90s or 2000s movie, right? Or like a
Right.
contemporary, you know, Bollywood film. It didn't feel like something out of the 40s, right? While because that's where this story was set in, right? But as far as like the Agatha, dance sequence moment, that felt like something out of the 40s, right? That's just my one gripe, right? But I do like the banter between Agatha and Kingo. I like the chemistry. That was cool. It was fine, right? But yeah, it's silly, it's fun, but it's just really kind of celebrating, the insanity that was early Hollywood. So can't be mad at that, right? But yeah, your thoughts on this episode here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This one was a lot more fun in my humble opinion. I just really dug the hell out of this one. It was really funny, charming. Voice acting was great. I just enjoyed it for its silly fun, especially the ending when she becomes this godlike what do you call it
Cosmic Queen, well, that's the name of the film that she that it,
no, but what do you call it the
oh
celestial.
the Celestial, that's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. That whole celestial thing. Yeah, that was nice fun. I was like, yeah, digging it. Visuals were great. I don't know. I just had the silliness of it really worked, but it worked in its conceit for her because of her power set. She could absorb anything, that kind of stuff. No. So is that
Yeah, right. So up next is the Red Guardian Stop the Winter Soldier, right? This was a solid episode. I'll give it that, right? One thing holds it back, but I'll get to that in a bit, right? So what I like about it, right? It plays on the whole ET's buddy cop action formula, right? So I was picking up on some Midnight Run vibes. I was picking up on some Red Heat vibes, in particular because you have a Russian guy that would be the Red Guardian teaming up with the Winter Soldier, and they going cross country trying to solve a particular dilemma and whatnot. I was surprised to see Obadiah Steen in it. And if I just have one thing with this season in particular, right? There's like a lot of like deep cuts in the sense that there are characters that will pop up in it and like, okay, I remember you from this show. But
right?
then when it comes to other characters, like, wait, what show you from? Like from what movie again? And I had to be
Yeah, yeah,
thinking
yeah,
there's like, all right, you from this. Oh,
yeah, yeah.
right, right, right.
Kind of forget.
It's like that, right? So yeah, so it's just basically, Bucky Barnes and Alexei team up because they
Right,
have to solve an issue, right? Didn't expect to see Bill Foster in this.
right.
I mean
Yeah.
that will be
Oh,
Lawrence
that
Fishburne's
was
character.
Lawrence Fishburne. That's the voice. I don't
Yeah,
think
that
so.
was him. That was him.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's him.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Right, they got him
Yeah,
back for that. Nice one.
yeah, yeah. I hear McGill, America Ferrera. She played a new character, this Ranger. That was cool. Um,
Right, right,
but the one thing that and I should mention, I do love the end of it, where basically Alexei is incorporated into American society. That's all we'll see without spoiling anything, right?
right. Well,
But
they
the
kind of do
one,
the same. Yeah, they do the same
yeah,
thing.
where they
Yeah,
they
he's a
do a
coach.
callback. Yeah, yeah, he's a basketball coach.
Right,
Which in itself is a nice little touch, like
right.
America, right? And there's
Yeah,
actually a shot with him framed right next to, sorry, near to the American flag. I was like, all right, sure, I see what you did there, right? And I like what they do with a reference to the battle in New York. That was cool. That was cool, right?
right. Which
But
was a little dumb bit. Yeah,
yeah, but for me, what hold it back though, sorry to say this, is Alexei himself though. Like just as a character, and I
he's
know what
too
they're
annoying.
trying to do here.
He's
It
too
was
annoying.
he just can't. He was annoying AF.
Yeah,
Like he's doing the whole, oh wow, I'm in America. Let
yeah.
me finally do the things that Americans do, and he's just being so heightened with it. Like dog, like dial
Yeah,
it back,
it's
dial
annoying.
it
It's
back.
annoying. Yeah,
So
annoying.
even
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
in like really cool action sequences, because they have they have some cool action scenes here or there, right? yeah, the man was just being this loudmouth goof chair. Like, why are you like this? Like, from what I remember from Alexei in oh gosh, in the Black Widow movie, like he was kind of incompetent, yeah, but he wasn't like a dumbass. He wasn't an idiot, right? But in this one is like, okay, he younger, so he more impressionable, I guess. But nah, it just kind of bothered and annoying to me, and it just really held me back from really enjoying this episode here, right? But still, the whole 80s buddy action thing, team up was cool, you know what I mean? So it was cool. It was cool. It's just the over the topness with Alexi's character that's really held it back from it, you know? But yeah, your
Agreed.
thoughts on this episode.
Yeah, agreed. He was just a little too silly. He didn't really work for me. Just he wasn't funny. That's the problem. Like so, again they go into they're doing the body cup thing, but it's just not funny. Especially
Yeah.
him. Like, he's too goofy and too incompetent. I think that was my problem.
Yeah, that was it, right? So up next we have Howard the Duck got hitched, right? And
This
I was
this is
reading online that
probably
this the
this is the most controversial one by far. I didn't hate it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't hate it, but it was just kind of dumb.
Yeah, I heard through the grapevine that this episode was bad, but when I see it for myself, I'm like it's not terrible, but boy, it fell so short of greatness in my opinion,
Yeah.
right? I understand, right? You're taking these two characters that are just goofy and likable, right? That would be Howdy Duck and Darcy Lewis played by McGill, Kat Dennings, right? But they had me at Darcy giving birth to
Yeah.
Howard's child, right? Like
Yeah.
they had
No.
me at that. Like
Right.
there was literally a moment halfway into the movie, right? Halfway into the episode, right? Because they keep stressing that it is an egg, right?
Right.
I just had to stop myself and be like, how that even happen? How did that
Yeah.
come out of
It,
her?
it,
And they don't
that's the
even
thing.
stop to
They
answer
never
to the
yeah, they never
to
explain it.
answer, sorry.
Yeah, that's not to accept it, and it's one of
Exactly.
those
Like that's a joke. It's
right,
absurd. Go with it. That's it.
right.
But like no, like it still don't make no sense though, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, this was just basically an excuse to just throw everybody like all this cameo after cameo after cameo. You have
Mhm.
Yondu, you have Nick Fury. Nick Fury just being there for the sake of being there. Phil Coulson is there for the sake of it.
Yeah.
They had me at Zeus. They had me at
Right.
oh
Right.
gosh Loki when he was from that planet I
So,
forget right now.
so yeah,
That was weird.
the Frost Giant Loki.
Yeah, the Frost Giant
Yeah,
version.
guys, it's the same
Like, all right.
continuity. It's the same continuity from the last that episode with Thor Party Thor. It's that
Right,
same.
yeah, yeah, and you do see party to well the party to in it, right?
Right.
They catch me with Thanos, so like, I was like, oh,
Right.
and
Right.
they
Right. Right.
actually get Josh Brolin to voice him, right? He had a couple of funny lines. He had a few funny lines. I'll give him that, right? But yeah, overall this episode, like I understand it's supposed to be goofy and silly, but it was just like, nah, this was
So
this was kind of bad.
what some people say that if they could have get the licenses in time, this was supposed to be that character instead of being this Duck Gill, because we know who that character turns out to be later.
Yes.
Uh, it was supposed to be um Phoenix was supposed to be this character, but they couldn't get the thing in time, and that was supposed to be Jean Grey with Phoenix, if I remember correctly. Like,
Oh,
all right,
okay,
I
okay.
mean, kind of interesting, but whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, so that is it.
Right.
But yeah, they just come up with this weird document because all of them wanted to get her power, and she's supposed to be this powerful person apparently. Why?
Yeah, and they never explain how this character, well, their child now, Howard and
Right.
Darcy's child,
Yeah.
suddenly become like Marvel Jesus. Literally, like there's a
Right.
moment where like she is born in quotes, and you see this blinding light, like, oh, well, Marvel Jesus or something. What's going on
Right. Right.
here?
Right. Right.
It was weird, right? But whatever.
Yeah. The Marvel
Up
Jesus. Marvel Jesus is not Deadpool, right?
and it's not Deadpool, right? Yeah, up next we have what is easily the best episode in the season here. And it's funny that it comes from the worst episode. Yeah, what if the emergence destroy the earth, right? This was a great
Yeah.
premise here.
Yeah.
Did not expect, Mysterio of all people to be the villain, and
Right.
just how they just design all the angry Mysterio really worked for me. Like he was just a menace, right? But yeah, they just get McGill, Riri Williams to just be a badass though, right? And
Right. Right.
it's like this great like post-apocalyptic story where she have to try to take down Mysterio and whatnot. I do like the whole idea of her having to differentiate between real and fake because it's Mysterio and whatnot, right? What I really do like about this episode, what makes this episode really important, right, is that you see again, you see the Watcher interfering, right?
Right,
he's
right, right, right.
narrating the story, but he keeps saying
Yeah,
he knows how
because
the
almost
story ends. Yeah,
yeah,
he
because
sees
almost
different
yeah,
versions
this
of it.
this 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 set of events almost never works out for the good guys, quote unquote. So
Yeah,
it's like
for
right,
Riri. So he kind of steps in and kind of says, "No, get up, keep fighting." Right. I
right,
like that at this moment. You'll see it happen again but in a different way in the next episode, right? Where you're thinking, oh, he going to step in and like literally like pick her up or something or do something like physically move her or something. But he kind of talks to her mentally and say, no, get up, fight,
right.
keep fighting. He does that, right? So he interferes. Yeah, at the very end when Riri come and pretty much save the day and whatnot. Yeah, Uatu kind of get called back to the office pretty much by the other
Yeah,
watchers.
pretty
They're
much.
like, yo, like what y'all doing? Like
Yeah,
what you
yeah.
doing, Jay? Like, oh, you interfering into
Something,
stuff
something
and yeah.
interesting. Something interesting about this. I don't know if anybody notices, and I thought it would have come up in our local discourse. Yeah, Riri's design at the end when she absorbs vision isk the kind of vision version of her.
Uh-huh.
A little bit like the Ansel's character, right? You find so?
Oh, Magnolia. Yeah, with
Yeah, a little
the
bit,
with the
right?
with the outfit, with the white
Yeah.
outfit. Yes, yes,
I
yes, yes.
surprised. I surprised Ansel did like do notice this or pick up. I thought one earlier like put it up on Facebook or
Oh,
whatever. But I mean, she look
uh,
a lot like the character. Same, very identical
yes.
look. And I think if I remember correctly, the actress is Trinia or part Trinia. I think. Um,
Oh, I'm Dominic Thorne. Okay.
I think so. I think so.
All right.
You know
I
that all
I
confusing that she just came to
well.
Trinidad for carnival,
All
but
right.
I
Well,
think she
well, well, well. Actually, her parents are Trinidadian immigrants.
right.
I know
Thank
see
you.
that on
Right.
Wikipedia, right?
Right.
So
Right.
look at
Right.
that,
Right.
right? Up next, we have another experimentation with genre. So this case is What If 1872, right? So yeah,
Right.
we
Right. Right.
have
Right. Right. This was good too. I put this up
it
pretty
was
high up for me too.
was
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but this one really surprised me because I didn't know what direction it was gonna go.
Right.
Yeah, Shang-Chi and Kate Bishop,
Right.
who calls herself Hawkeye in this episode. Yeah, in the Wild West, basically, and
Right.
they're
Right.
looking for this character called the Hood, but it has to relate with both the murder of Kate's family and Shang-Chi's
Sister
sister
thing.
missing,
Right.
right? What now? Going back to me having to do legwork and trying to remember characters. Yeah, is when they bring in the character of Sonny Birch, right? And I saw the name Walton Goggins in the opening credits.
Right.
It's like, all right, Walton Goggins. Well, I mean, I know him, right? And
He
oh,
was
he's a
in. He was
Western.
in.
Okay, no
You know, I
problem.
barely
But I'll
remember he was in Ant-Man. He was in Ant-Man 2. I'm like, oh yeah, right. He was in
exactly.
Ant-Man.
I like what
Yeah.
there's a moment where he's
Nobody
doing
watched
this
Ant-Man.
monologue. Right, that's the thing. There was a moment where he's doing the monologue. I like, where this man from, boy? I'm like,
Right.
oh
Yeah.
shit, Ant-Man, it was
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. Check it out,
Like
man.
I
Yeah.
had to do extra legwork to remember he's from that movie.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I don't know how much. I don't know how much people went to see that movie. To be honest. So it's like, well,
I know, and it was in the same year. By the way, in case you all forget, this was the same year that we got Infinity War, right? And
yeah, exactly. But nobody went to see that cool long movie.
you
But
know,
as I'll
but
say,
this
yeah,
episode was decent. I actually do like how
right.
it ends with the twists and whatnot. I actually like that. That was cool.
No,
Yeah.
the only thing that confused me is that the sister was the original bad guy. Who was the bad guy exactly? I could like the sister killed the bad guy, but who was that originally? I couldn't follow.
But that's the thing they didn't really say because
Never
they
say.
kind of
Okay,
they
no
kind
problem.
of hint they kind of say establish that she's the hood, but she was going she got attacked by the hood, but we never really
Right.
get to see who the
So,
hood actually is or was. We don't know.
okay,
Yeah.
so but the way I interpreted it is that it had no real hood and that was a fake story that she gen up now, and it was always
Oh,
her.
okay.
I,
I didn't read it like that, but
I
me
couldn't follow. I couldn't follow who was the hood exactly and what was going on
right.
there. I really couldn't follow it.
Yeah, well, I guess in retrospect they could have like clarified that, right? And
Right.
lastly, going back to the Watcher now, this is where he is like about to be persecuted now, and there's a moment where in the process of said persecution, a couple shards of the observatory now where the Watchers are breaks off and falls,
Right.
right?
Right.
And we see what will happen next in the last two episodes. But yeah, your Ricardo, your thoughts on this episode here.
Yeah, Shang-Chi. Yeah, yeah. This was fun. Pretty cool. They great. Cause last time they did Marvel 1602 or something like that. So it's similar to that idea. Um, and they make it work as it is. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one too. Just again, yeah, they kind of just take these as one-offs. Like the whole thing with this, like one of the big problems with this, and we'll get that with the next episode. I was not the biggest fan of that next one, as it was. But it's like, all right, it's fine. Like leave it as is. But we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So the last two episodes, because this is a two-parter, right? So this is What If the Watcher Disappeared, and the
Right.
final episode, as in the series finale, being What If, right? Which is a great title when you really think about it, right? Yeah. So the Watcher is still on trial, right? Because of his interference and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically it's Kahori, it's Birdie, it's Storm, and
Right.
it's Peggy Carter, right? As Captain America, right? And yeah, basically they team up now, and yeah, basically their plan is to save Uatu from those Watchers, right? And of course, it's gonna be all earth shattering, like time bending and all that kind of stuff. And they do that, to a really high degree in the last episode, right?
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, there's a lot of like, it's the whole space time continuum thing, but yeah, a lot of like bending and twisting of stuff and whatnot, right? You get some really like cool psychedelic visuals in that final episode in particular, right?
Yeah. They
Um,
look great. Yeah.
Also we see we see Infinity Ultron. I can't remember what episode he was from, but yeah, they
Yeah.
bring
No, he
him
was
back
from
because
right. No, well, it's another Infinity Ultron. So it's
okay, I know it's
uh
another one. I just can't remember what episode.
no, yeah, he was from
He well,
the finale of season 1. Remember they had to fight against
oh,
him. Remember he was this
right, yes,
they had to fight against him, and he had to get all the Killmonger and all of them to
yeah,
take him down. Right. It's another Infinity Ultron. All right, cool.
right.
They kind
So
of do the Avengers Endgame thing, which has a halfway about, but
that's exactly what it is, right?
yeah, yeah,
It is the end game of this show here,
yeah.
right?
They
And
do the same
overall, it just
strategy effectively.
yeah, I actually don't mind how it ends with those heroes becoming watchers themselves.
Yeah,
I wish it didn't just boil down to just seeing a oath and then you become watchers.
that was a little lame. That's a little lame.
Come on, man,
A little lame. A
really
little lame. A little
really.
lame. A little lame. That was a little lame.
Yeah. You just see one pledge and that's it. You become a
Well,
watcher. No, come
he
on.
could kind of grant it that they kind of do the Thor thing like in oh gosh, in the fourth Thor movie, though. Similar idea. That would be
Right.
like,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah. And they actually go into, well, the Doctor Strange Supreme world, well, I should say universe
right,
now.
right, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He had his
yeah,
universe, so he dominates. Yeah, yeah. So that's what
yeah.
happened in the end, then, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as those two episodes go in terms of just sort of wrapping things up, and I'll lead into my thoughts on the season and my gripes with it, right? Is that as far as just kind of putting everything together and coming up with the overall message of the series, I think it works, right? Because
Yeah,
yeah, really the overall message of the series, well, just to use another film as reference, is the everything everywhere all at once
right,
view
right,
of the multiverse, right? The idea
right,
that
right.
we are, there's a different version of us in different realities and whatnot. But when you think that, oh, there's nothing special about me, the moment you realize, oh, in this dimension I could do this, in this dimension I could do that. Yeah, it kind of gives you power, it kind of gives you strength there, So that's really to me the message I got out of it. Like, we are all powerful, we are all special in all different ways, right? You see different versions of our favorite characters, become greater people than they
Right.
really are. Like for me, the person who really sums it up is Riri, right? Because look at what she went through. She actually survived, because the watcher said in that episode, oh, in every version she feels it, right? But in this one, she lives, right? Even though it was through the watcher's interference, right? Now, as far as the gripe, right? Like the main gripe I had with these last
All
two
right, sorry.
episodes,
He
and
also interfered a second time with the girl on the train, right? Because the girl was supposed to fall off and die. Was it which character that was?
was that in 18? Was
Yeah,
that
yeah,
in
yeah,
80s? Yeah,
yeah.
that was in the
The cowboy.
1872 episode. Yes,
Right.
that's right. Yeah. Because the kid was, yeah, well, the kid was supposed to
Which
die.
character that was?
It was this
Um,
kid, this Asian kid.
no,
He was supposed to
somebody.
die.
It's somebody important because I'm trying to remember who it was. Yeah, well,
All right, it is Kwai John Fan who,
okay.
and he actually mentioned the name in the end. I was like, oh, that's who he is, Iron Fist. It's like,
Right, right. There's Iron Fist.
oh,
Right.
okay,
Thank you. Iron Fist. Iron
okay,
Fist.
yeah.
Iron Fist.
I didn't
Yeah.
even know who that kid was.
Yeah.
Is only when
The
kids
Asian Iron
say,
Fist. Sure.
yes,
Yeah. The
when
Asian Iron
kids
Fist.
say Iron Fist, I was like, oh,
Yeah. It's
that's
Iron
who
Fist.
he
Right.
is.
Thank you. Right. That's what I was
Oh,
trying
okay,
to
right,
remember. I was trying to know who he
yeah.
was. That's an important character. Right. No
Yeah,
problem.
so minor nitpicks. This is a show that is kind of designed to please both fans of the MCU and I would say Marvel Comics as a whole, right? Where yeah, a majority of the scenarios in this, right, even right down to Shang-Chi and Hawkeye in the West, feels very much like what you would see in a Marvel Comics like issue, something like that, right? Like oh, let's have a spin-off series where Spider-Man is a cowboy or something like that, right? And you see what happens there, right? It's stuff that you see in comic books all the time, right? But you just frame it from the MCU, so you have to remember the characters from the films and who they are and all that kind of stuff, right? You also have to be familiar with the characters themselves from the films, right? Because the episodes and when they include in these episodes, right, they're not gonna stop to tell you, oh, this is why this character is important, and this is why this character talks the way he or she does. It do look like that, right? But then when it comes to my major gripe though, especially with these last two episodes, I felt like, okay, if everything was going to end on Kahori and Birdie and Storm and Peggy, why didn't they get like little like their own episodes in this season, right? Why
Right.
didn't get those
Same,
moments? I'll try example,
same,
right?
yeah, same problem. Same problem with season one and I think
And
Gamora. She just
oh
showed up.
right, yeah, she just
Yeah,
show up
whatever.
on table, right?
And she was
Because
supposed to be part of an episode which they address in the next season. But I kind of
oh
think I
right,
know where they're going. I think I know where they're going with this. And look,
all right.
we'll talk about it when we get to the end. Go ahead.
Yeah. Because the beauty of Infinity War and Endgame, right, which these last two episodes was trying to emulate, right, is that you know the characters and they had their own films and you've seen them appear in other shows. So you know them character wise and event wise. You know what they've been through and whatnot, right? So when time for them to team up to face Thanos, you don't have to stop to tell me what Iron Man did or Black Panther did. We know already, right? But in this show here, it's like, all right, I have to remember what Peggy did in season one. I remember that
Yeah, you gotta go
premiere
back. Yeah.
episode. I remember all these things. Birdie now being brought into the show, and hey, it's voiced by McGill Natasha Leon, which is cool, right?
Right.
But you now had to show me Birdie powers, and you gotta remind me of Kahori because she had one episode in season two. You know what I mean? So it's like
Well,
that now.
she was in the finale in season two, so it's like
All
you
right,
kind of
yeah,
had to remember.
you
Yeah,
see, again, I don't
yeah.
remember these things. That's the
I,
problem.
I vaguely remember. I just like okay, right. I
Yeah,
just kind of
and
just get a memory of this thing,
and
right? Whatever.
and even worse, they bring Storm now because she rocking Mjolnir now, right? And
Right.
even at the goal, right? Because I watched this in with subs on, I saw it, right? They even incorporate her team music from X-Men '97. I don't remember
Yeah, no,
looking at
yeah,
it, but
they get the
here
voice
piece
actress.
it.
Yeah, they
Well,
get the
yeah,
voice actress and everything.
it's the same voice actress, yes, but they actually incorporate a bit of her team music from X-Men '97, right?
Right.
So her inclusion in this show clearly was to play on, yeah, her being in X-Men '97, which of course she had to be there because it's X-Men, right? So it's like that, right? But again, so to sum it up, this really needed a fourth season. This really needed a fourth season where I felt like they just had to kind of rush. Well, they
Right.
just had to kind of
So,
rush everything and just end everything off for reasons. I don't know. Maybe it's just because of the Phase 5 direction or whatever Marvel Studios going
right.
with, right? But I felt with one more season, just to get to my point, we could have gotten used to, Storm as Thor or Birdie, whatever it is, right? We could have gotten used to these characters. We could have had like one or two more episodes individually. And then when you reach the finale, we know enough of them to be like, oh, I understand why they're fighting for this. But just throwing them there now and then expecting you to be this massive Marvel nerd now to
Yeah.
remember who they are and what they're referencing and whatnot. It's hard. Like it's very, very taxing on the brain. Hey, I want
Yeah.
to be focused on everything that you're seeing now. So yeah, that's really what held this season back and the show back. Is just we needed one more season, man, right? Because I do, just to get the positive, I do like this Twilight Zone take on the MCU. I do like that it's doing what Marvel Comics have been doing for decades. Trying putting characters that you know, but putting them in unfamiliar situations and territories, right? Teaming them up with different characters, seeing how they work in different eras and all that kind of stuff. I like that. That's the stuff that Marvel Comics doing for years, right? But again, the sell here is that it's the MCU characters. So you would just have to know them because of what you've seen over like what 10 years plus with these movies, right? And TV shows as well too, right? Because Peggy Carter, right? So it's like that, right? So yeah, ultimately this is a show for the super fan, both for the MCU and the Marvel Comics fan. It's for them, right? I'm not a super fan, so I won't be going nuts when I see Sonny Birch right in an episode, right? I don't work like that, right? But as far as just the imagination and just the storytelling and of course the visuals, I think the visuals really work here. Yeah, this is a solid series nonetheless, right? It's not my favorite of the MCU TV shows though, but I do like that, this is our contemporary Twilight Zone, right? Because yeah, John Peele's Twilight Zone didn't pop off or didn't go as far as it could have, unfortunately, right? But yeah, this was our Twilight Zone. We actually got this, and it's based off of these, characters that have become part of pop culture today, right? So it works in that context, right? But we needed one more season, man. I felt we could have
Well,
gotten one more
right.
season to kind of just flesh everything out.
So speaking of one more season, that is what they kind of hinted at because if you know, there's a certain comic called The Exiles, and that's what The Exiles is. It's just a multiversal traveling show kind of thing. So they're mixing what if with a meta narrative. And
Oh, okay, okay.
I yeah, that's what the Exiles is. It's basically people who just misfit some multiple universes coming together as their own thing to go all over the multiverse and solve problems kind of thing. So it's a watchers but who constantly interfere. That's basically the idea, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay, okay. All right.
But yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah,
But that's
what
just quick rating wise, right? So yeah, for me as far as this season goes, I'm gonna give this a strong 3.5 to a light 4, man. It's worth checking out. It's worth checking out. But again, you just had to be a massive nerd to know the references. And you had to remember the stuff from the last two seasons because yes, even though I covered those two, we both did. Um, I don't remember every single detail with those last two seasons, but this was a season where you had to kind of do your homework and go back and refresh your memory, right? And the show as a whole, I'm gonna give a decent 4 to 5. I think that it is, a decent enough show. I think that it is worth checking out. But again, this is for the diehard MCU fan. That's who it's for, right? This is not for the people who after Endgame, and I know a lot of people like this, but it's like, you know what? I don't know who's this character. I don't know who's Kate Bishop. I don't know. Yeah, just kind of like tune out of it because Thanos get beat. You know what I mean? That's not for them. This is for the diehard fans, and yeah, for the most part, I think that a majority of them will be satisfied by what the show offered, man. Right? So that's it. But yeah, your thoughts on the season and the show and ratings.
Yeah, I said in my humble opinion, the meta narrative is what killed the show. It never needed a meta narrative. That was a mistake. It was fun, I suppose, but it's the same problem you have with multiverse in itself. You want to have a multi universe, but then you want to still have a linear storyline to connect everything. So like either pick one, right? Either have a single universe where everything happening, or have a multiverse where you just have these one-off vignettes. And they kind of want to have the cake and eat it too, and I feel it does not work. In my humble opinion, having a single narrative, or at least a single meta narrative, do work. In my humble opinion, either vignettes and single stories are one-offs, or a single story with a linear thing. I find the whole trying to meta narrative it don't really work all that much. Another problem. What happened to Loki? We kind of forget about Loki because did they reference that at the end of season two?
Yeah, yes, it did, and there was a moment.
Officially ended.
I think in the either in the finale, series finale, or the episode
Yeah,
before, where you saw the tree. You
yeah.
saw the tree, yeah.
Yeah, it's all looking 3D and then so like, what happened there? Stuff like that. They didn't bother me, didn't completely hate this. I don't know. It don't need a meta narrative. That's the problem. Like they try to do the whole meta narrative Spider Verse thing, and like, well, it has worked for Spider Verse, but like it didn't really work in here. Like don't do the Spider Verse thing. Like lead out to Spider Verse and them who have actually an interesting thing with it. Because they basically just to me rip off Spider Verse, in my humble opinion. Like it's just the same idea of rejecting authority when it comes to that kind of stuff. It feels almost identical. And well, because Spider was probably not gonna happen. Well, it's gonna happen, I think, still, but Shamik Moore is having a meltdown, right? We don't really fuck with what she's
Boy,
doing.
I don't know,
It's
boy.
that's embarrassing self constant constant.
Just go in the booth, shut up, say your lines, and go now. Stop it. We want to see the end, man. The end of this
But
the
whatever, as I
trilogy.
said, we still have Gerald Jerome, so fine.
Yeah.
But he real taking a L right now. Whatever, moving on. But
Yeah, but I understand what you say with the Spider Verse thing. You see the advantage is that it's one character, so you
right,
see many facets of that one character.
thank
And
you.
this one
Right,
is
too much.
literally hundreds of characters,
Yeah,
and
too much. Yeah, it's too much.
you're trying
And
to keep us
if
at. You
if
want
it,
us
if
to
it,
be attached to every single one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if you're doing the vignette thing, if you're doing the vignette thing, it's fine because you're like, all right, you don't need to know because once you tell a good story with the vignettes, it don't matter. It don't matter who this character is. They'll make a reference or a joke, and that might give you a little extra, like little plus sign, a little extra upvote in your brain, right? A little reward for that. But if you're a super fan, but it shouldn't matter with respect to a story beat, and that's big problem I have with like this multiverse stuff now. Yeah, I just not really feeling the meta narrative stuff for this. Either do the vignette stuff and some work, some don't work, or do a single narrative like how the MCU was going on until Thanos. But as I say, as I said, even South Park made this joke, and I think they were correct on this, which is as a one-off, it has be fine. But you kind of they had to get rid of the multiverse thing forever. Like it had it done, and I think they'll pull back on it when people get fed up and it's a fun thing. And I don't think we will see Exiles anytime soon. To be honest, but they may. We may see Exiles sometime in the working future. We'll see. Not sure. I dig it as it was. I had fun with it rating. Yeah, 7 out of 10. It's fine. As a whole series, yeah, it's 10 again. I don't know. It's just how I feel about this. They could have do more with it, that kind of stuff, and especially when they tease at the ending, when they tease a bunch of like really cool shit, like it's Wolverine but he's Thanos. Like, what's going on here? Stuff
Yeah.
like that. That more interesting to me. Like, just do these vignettes. Just do these crazy vignettes and one-off storylines, and you'd be fine with it. I don't have to. You don't have to connect to any larger narrative. Now that don't mean anything. I don't know. That's just. Yeah. So 7 out of 10. Was underwhelmed, but it's having a cake and eating it too, and that's why it don't work. Like it just end up, suffering from that. So I
Yeah.
agree.
I still think one more season would have just kind of given this Marvel Studios the opportunity to kind of flesh things out properly, because again, you want to give me the end game thing, but we don't have enough like connective tissue with it. We don't have enough emotional connection with these characters, right? Even though
Right.
we've seen them before in the series, to be like, oh yes, I should feel a kind of way when this character, reaches a certain point, right? But I mean, for what it's worth, it's again, it's the Twilight Zone show that we didn't ask for, but we got anyway, and
Yeah.
I'll go back to it ever so often and be reminded of certain things. But yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen it, it's worth checking out. But again, this is for the die-hard MCU fan, right? Not for the casual viewer at all. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.